Thank you very much. With this, we come to the last session, that is session 6, and that is on technology of orality from print to digital technology. Well, in this session, we have Divija Rajkua, Preeti Gill, and L. Somi sir. May we invite you all to the center? Oh, she's not there. Only Preeti Gill ma'am and L. Somi sir.
Sanjoy, would you like to join us? You want to join us?
Because I believe this is a very important session about digitalizing the idea of oral literature, which we have all been talking about since yesterday. So I think we really need to have a nice discussion on this. And since we are running out of time, we will have 45 minutes for this. Yeah, thank you.
We were thinking of doing an evaluation session in collaboration with a funder, but he did come, but he has left. He had to go back, being called by some very important powers that be. So we will finish up and just enjoy the view and the dolphins after our conversation. But this session is something that Preeti and we've been talking about for a very long time. Because it's, for me, it's basically a pick your brains kind of session. It's just that I want to know a few things, and I've not been able to think a lot through by myself. I know we are doing an oral literature festival. We call it the Literature Festival Without Books. At the same time, we come up against books all the time. And the invention of scripts, who is it talking about the Wanchu script today? I heard someone talking over lunch or breakfast or something. The invention of script itself, after language, is a technology. The invention of paper or surfaces to write on is a technology. The printing multiple copies is a technology. Radio is a technology. Television is a technology. YouTube is a technology. AI is a technology. So we've been moving from various technology-based ages and eras, one after the other through the millennia. And it's all about the word. And it all is about oral literature, etc. So what does it mean that we now have a digital technology? What does digital technology mean for very small, impoverished, unimportant, frequently battle-scarred, and really unimportant part of the world? This part of the world is only important to us. It's because we live here. It doesn't make the headlines, global headlines, unless it's really dire. So we have no money. No one knows about us. We are unimportant, relatively speaking, right? I'm making these humongous statements. So what does it mean when everyone growing up here knows global culture? I went to see Deadpool versus Wolverine, and I left halfway, Kellen, because I could not understand any of the references and wisecracks and in-jokes that Ryan Reynolds had written in, whereas all the young Manipuris sitting around me, this is a movie theater, by the way. I see like one movie in a theater a year, and I like Deadpool, so I went there, and they were all cracking up, and I couldn't get it. So obviously they are exposed to global culture. I thought I was. I'm no longer. So, but what does it offer for the future for us when we can record our grandfathers, when we can edit our grandparents telling us songs, when Dheeraj can talk about his mother's stories of the detention camps, of the rehab camps, etc. So what does it offer? So I really want to pick brains of these August company and of course yours as well. So shall we start with? You start, since you are part of the RGU host.
Thank you very much. It always intrigues me with the way the world's moving in the pace, especially now. And no matter how good we are with our crafts of writing in the mother tongue, it still amazes me that when will the day be ready that even when our local authors who write in the vernacular, suppose if I write in Assamese, when will the world be able to understand and take up these kind of things at a global platform? We were struggling as a linguist, we were struggling with getting the right kind of pronunciation and feed it into the machine way back in 2001, especially sounds with the Hall lines. But will AI or will technology be able to, gather Assamese properly is, I think, a big challenge, and that is what actually worries me a lot, that if we have to keep a language alive, the AI has to understand my language. That is what is my biggest fear at the moment, being an Assamese from Assam, or I was also raised like Sanjoy Bublida in Shillong, for a Kasi in Meghalaya. That when is the day approaching when the machine will be able to understand and read my mother tongue?
Thank you.
I end there.
And Preeti, I mean, you're the direct connection between the printed word and where we are today.
Yeah, having been in publishing for 25, 30 years, really a lifetime, with books and words, and especially the printed word, but the printed word always has to start from somewhere, and that somewhere is listening, obviously. So you hear the story, and what you think impacts you, and what you want to take out to the rest of the world is what you then want to put in the form of a book, which you think is more lasting, which you think has a shelf life, and therefore you try and make a book. So how books are made and marketed using basically digital channels. Publishers obviously have started to use a lot of use the computer, use different technologies for when they start to make the books. So right from getting your manuscript, being in touch with writers, doing the editing online, doing line editing, all of that, because earlier we were just marking everything out on manuscripts which were on paper. All of that has shifted, and you're sort of online all the time, and you're doing that. Secondly, where it matters, of course, is also for distribution and where you're able to market the books. There it has changed a lot because all our marketing and all the distribution has now gone online, especially I think after COVID, with physical bookshops closing down, with a lot of booksellers unable to supply orders because godowns were shut and everything was closed. Physical books could not go out from there. New ways and innovative ways had to be thought of to put the books out into the market. And then there was all these Amazon and other channels that came up where you could purchase a book. But even then, to deliver the book, there was again a problem. And then there were new things like going to XYZ place and somebody would just come and, curbside kind of distribution that was happening. So those were all innovations that came about because of COVID. And then the whole thing that started with social media and its impact on everyday living, and all of us who are constantly on the phone and constantly looking at content which is on the phone. So that, to my mind, has meant various things. One is, of course, the reach, because the reach is so much more, so many more people who can know about a new book or a new idea or a new writer, a new, whole landscape, which they may not have been aware of and which they have not been able to access so easily. On their fingertips. But also I think it brings a lot of negative sorts of things. And I know all of you will jump on me when I say like ChatGPT, but there are issues of piracy and there are issues of copyright over there. And as a publisher, I think one needs to be aware. And as a writer or an editor, you need to be aware of the dangers of things like ChatGPT and increasing use of AI and what that is going to bring. And everything I feel that the dystopian novels talked about is just around the corner and we're sort of into that world. So I think we have to also be very conscious of that. What it has also meant, I think, is a dumbing down in a manner, because you have things like self-publishing happening. Everybody and anyone just gets up and thinks that they are a writer and they put a book out. It's easy to find these platforms which are doing self-publishing, so you can just pay X amount of money and put your book out. So many poets, so many writers, really bad quality stuff. So I think that's a disservice that one is doing because you needed that gatekeeper, you need that editor to look at your work and to be able to polish it. And if it is no good, then just throw it out the window, give it to that dolphin, whatever. But the thing is that all of that has finished. So increasingly, all publishing houses now have a sort of a component which is like a service. So if you have Penguin, for example, which is a large publishing house, Penguin Random House, they will also have a wing which is called something similar to Penguin, like what?
Penguin
What is called?
Enterprises,
Is it? Or the other bird, the small bird. Puffin is for the children, but there's another. So they will bring it really close to it and just change the one word. So other people don't know. People who are in the industry know that this is what is called vanity publishing, or this has been paid for. But those are only the people who are, so to speak, the cognoscenti, who know what's going on, but the others don't know. So you've paid for the book, you've paid for a service, and because publishing is becoming so difficult, and because of all of these other reasons that we've also spoken about in earlier sessions, about globalization, about all the new material that's out there, so easy to access, and you keep hearing that children don't read, and we were talking about audiobooks just last night, that kids prefer to listen to the story or to visually see the story rather than pick up a book and read it. So all of these changes have meant print runs have really gone down, and it's becoming very difficult. I mean, it's like very contradictory, because more than ever you have a huge number of publishers. Publishers are growing. There are many bookshops back now. Many books are being published. There are new writers every day. But if you also notice, there's a kind of a trend. So again, that is to do with technology. It's to do with the kind of data that is coming out, algorithms which you study, and then you decide, oh, it's going to be mythology. That's the trend. Everybody will start writing mythology. So there will be a time when it's all IIT romances, so Chetan Bhagat, etc., etc. Everyone will start doing that. Again, I think that's really bad. Bad for publishing, bad for the reader, bad definitely for anybody who's looking to read a book, whether it's for purely entertainment or for some kind of learning or information that you want to get from that book. So in all of these ways, technology is good, but I think there's definitely a downside, a darker side, which we need to be aware of. And otherwise you just might become the Handmaid's Tale or something.
And anything specific, anything a little different in some of the issues and challenges faced by small places like Assam. Even Assam, big as it is, the 800-pound gorilla here in the northeast, you're small. It's a very small place in India. It's also even a tiny place in the world. So, as Dheeraj was saying, his painting of the corner, where you have a little sound, a little thing. So you have to be there to get the reality of it, right? That was a beautiful artistic metaphor today that he had brought into visualization. So, for small places, small languages, I mean, most people don't know this, but Preeti has been really, having worked with her, I know this, has been in the forefront of bringing writing from the Northeast into the mainstream of Indian publishing. So, having spent a lot of your time here, many years here, and your feel, even the book that we launched yesterday, but I am one of you. I mean, that is pretty touching, it's a very sensitive topic. So, what do you see for us over here in the Northeast? How many languages do we have over here? We have Naga, not just Naga, we have an Ao, we have different tribal languages. We have Manipuri, we have Bora, we have Singpho. What do you think technology has in store for us? Maybe, just let's venture out and let's see.
So I don't know about technology, but definitely I think that you need to open that window. You need to get people interested in you before anybody is going to look your side. So yes, that picture that we saw in the morning of the corner, and the corner that is showing you these 3-4 visuals of this part of the world, that is what is important. So I know that I was also, when I was working with Kali for Women and later with Zuban for so many years, I was traveling to Frankfurt for about 9 years. I was going every single year to sell rights. And the English market does not look at you. It's the European market that looks at you. And maybe it is because those are also smaller countries, and they are able to, in some manner, identify with what you are saying or what your writers are saying. And so I think one of the things that I learned very early on at Frankfurt is that that window needs to open. So you need to show people the way in. So just like whether it's your storytelling or this look at the camps that we saw in the morning, you need to have that window open. And so I think it is with any language or with any language group or any particular region, whether in this country or elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the way in. Technology, I really cannot say, because of course we've talked about digitizing and Corcel and all of those other ways, your own book that we saw, which you launched yesterday as well. So yes, all of those things are there, but I think those are still for very niche audiences. I mean, who picks that up? It would mainly be for an academic, very niche audience. So if it's got to go out into the popular or a larger audience, then there is that way in that has to be shown. And I think literature from the so-called northeast of India has made that inroad already. There are a lot of people who are reading, there are a lot of people who are interested, a lot of the writers who've won many awards and, state things like Sahitya Academy and all of that helps. So technology, I really don't know too much about.
But like Sanjoy, for instance, I mean, he was the India correspondent and reporter for the New York Times in the 1980s, and has done amazing things. You can see his picnic boat on the horizon over here under that bridge, and so he's done stuff both here in the Northeast. He's from Shillong, and then he's also worked in Delhi, where for a central university like Jamia Millia, I think your Northeast Center for Studies, wasn't that the first of its kind? Yeah. So you've gone from you've covered everything from, you're still an important columnist today, nationally, but from New York Times to the national papers to the books that he has written, a dozen or so books about the Northeast. What is your thinking about the future of writing and publishing and technology?
You recall in the 1990s and so on, when people were driving to work in the US and Europe, because people start really early, 6 o'clock to drive an hour to work or 7 o'clock to work, they'd listen to a book on, they'll either they listen to NPR, National Public Radio, those who are serious, they listen to music, but they'll also listen to an audio book. And that, I think, is going to be perhaps, again, the future, part of the future. I remember when I signed my contracts, like this latest book I've done on Mizoram, which is now being edited and so on. When you sign a contract, you have to look at the contract clauses very closely, because they have video rights, audio rights, film rights, serial rights, everything you have to. So all that is perhaps more important to them than it is to you. So even publishing builds that into the package that they actually offer to the writer, whether any of it goes anywhere or not. Like I have had, what's his name, Shyam Benegal once approached me and said, you come to my office in Bombay, we'll talk, I've read your book, I want to do a film on it. Film built around one incident. Nothing happened, I had a good chat with him, we had tea and all that. Somebody else from Bollywood, who did, what was that film about Tendulkar's car and flying all over the place? Yeah, so the director of that got in touch with me wanting to do a film. Again, it didn't go anywhere. But now, take Patal Log 2. That has nailed, I haven't seen much of it. I saw glimpses of it the other day. That seems to have really nailed the Nagaland situation on the head. And I'm afraid we're looking increasingly at a world where attention spans were short anyway. I mean, nobody's going to read my 300 or 400 pages on Mizoram. I don't think very few, I will apologize to any Mizos who are here. I don't know how many people are going to read that. But perhaps they may watch a film about the Mizos, done in an interesting way. So I think increasingly, these are the areas that we have to look at and recognize that we have limits in what we can do. Because some of us write in a particular way, we work in a certain genre, a certain area. So I think that's, for me, that's important. The only other thing about the future is that whatever is written, whether it's from here or anywhere, will have to be very, very catchy. You know, if you want a market, you want something to sell, it has to be catchy, it has to be well written, obviously, and it has to be relevant.
There's so much to mine in what you've just said, Sanjoy. I've done 2 audiobooks. They sell terribly.
I was just going to say that, sorry, I'm cutting in. But, you know, like when I used to go to the Frankfurt Book Fair, this was constantly the thing. E-books are the new thing. E-books never became the new thing here in India. I mean, yes, people get e-books and you do have a reader and you do, especially it's convenient when you're traveling and you don't want to carry 10 books with you, so fine. But I don't think it ever went up to the kind of sales that the publishers were expecting. So very few people, I mean, they take your rights, just like what he's saying, everything is in the contract. but nobody's really doing it. And same with audiobooks. Do you think you can listen to an audio story while you drive on a street here in Guwahati or in Delhi or in any, like Mumbai? You'll be in the next ditch, yeah? There's no way. I mean, you need some amount of concentration. So these are not, I mean, they're great technologies, and yes, they will work for certain audiences. I would say,
Actually, I find that I have to concentrate more when I'm listening to an audio.
I must interrupt both of you. The vision for this city is that it's going to be a dream city with great highways where you can sit and listen to audio when driving.
You know, the thing is that this topic is so interesting, I know, to all of you. Please don't deny it, but I know you're all interested in this. So let's open it up quickly, and then we'll just go back and forth. Anyone wants to say? Okay, one. Yeah. Before, thank you.
So thank you. I have two quick things. First, to address your question of when your phone will get Assamese correctly. This is a question of funding and interest from scientific bodies. My department is multilingual computational linguistics, and this is exactly the kind of thing we are trying to resolve in many areas. The technology is there. It's just a matter of interest and funding. If IIT Guwahati decided that they cared about this, they could have it by 2026, easily. Tripura University is already making tremendous progress with Kokborok language recognition, speech synthesis, Google Translate type stuff. The technology is ready. It's just a matter of funding and that. So write a letter to IIT Guwahati.
Good to hear that.
This would be my suggestion. Yeah. The other thing is sort of a question to maybe discuss. I like writing. I write in part for a living. I love reading. Ebooks, paper books, doesn't matter. I really like the written word. But isn't there a more optimistic way to look at kids don't read these days, as instead maybe we're just shifting back to a more oral society in many ways, and maybe that's delivered through TikTok or whatever's replaced TikTok in India. I also would like people to still write and read books and things like that, but there have been people, anthropologists, social scientists, who are saying maybe we are just shifting back to a more oral society, and if this is an oral literature festival, shouldn't we embrace that, at least trying to be optimistic about things, even if we're old and think doom and gloom, which I kind of do.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I quietly agree. But the point is, when they say that these days young kids don't read books, I've had this discussion also in the past with a couple of professors. Well, there was always one section which was reading books. You know, when maybe Bublida was young, it was maybe only one section that was reading books. And when we were in college, there was only one section reading books. And even today, there's only one section, because I see a lot of young people going and buying books online. So it's just, again, one section reading books. And that was bringing to my point when Preeti Gill, who's such a veteran in publishing, and I just met one of the authors of a publishing house called Leftward, Sudhavna Deshpande, who wrote a book on theatre called Halla Bol. And what was interesting for me was, which I wanted to ask Preeti at that moment, was that he quickly pulled my copy, because I wanted him to write a few things on that copy of mine. And he quickly was looking at the first 2 pages, and he gave the book back to me. So very curious question was, what did you check? You know what he checked, Preeti? He then told me, you bought this out of Amazon, right? I was shocked. Because I've been reading books from a tender age, but obviously my question was, how did you differentiate this? And how did you exactly so confidently say that I picked this out of Amazon? He says, only have publishers now, because it takes 2 minutes some things to print a book, a copy, and you see your copy, your print is different than the copy which I gave you 15 years ago. So this is the shift. The quality of the book, when it comes to new age digital printing, there.
Totally. I really don't, there's POD, which is print on demand. You don't need the bookshop, you don't need the store, you don't need to keep the books, because these big publishers, and they're awful, because they have deep pockets, they can just throw money around. And they destroy, every single year they destroy these books. It is crazy, because they're just trashing them, and 250 books a year Penguin does, or 250 plus books HarperCollins does, and all these big guys do, and they give huge advances to their writers, which they can never, ever repay. So you will never get a royalty because you can never, never earn back the money that they have given you. And you are their slave because you will go back to them again and again with your next book and your next book. So I think it's the time of the small publisher, but nobody ever seems
There's
to look
no
at them.
authority here. There's no one who knows better than anyone else. So, I'm just going to say, all right, someone else from the audience responds, and then we'll just go back and forth.
We want to make a listener a mass movement. So can we use online technology to broadcast to willing universities and colleges? Is that a feasible proposition next year onwards?
Okay. Give any thought on that.
That is something that Sheila, I am not in universities anymore. I guess there's somebody like Sheila in there are dozens of faculty members here. Come on, guys.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone wants to
Let's
answer
leave Sheila out of
from
it.
the audience?
There's Stutis there, there's
Stuti, do you want to have any opinion?
so many others are here. Pompey is there. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I guess I partly missed the question, but I guess it's on the listener. This festival becoming a mass movement.
How can online
How can-
technology help in the process, in this dream?
Well, it can through maybe live streaming, which again is dicey because personally it's not something I'm much in favor of. Well, if listener is to be made a mass movement, the template, if the Imasi Foundation is fine by that, the template can actually be replicated by different institutions through official, of course, permission, and that can definitely be done. And I don't know if the Imasi Foundation focuses only on the northeast of India, in the northeastern India.
Only.
Only. Even then, if we have in Assam, I mean, yes, absolutely. Like Ayushman rightly said, why not as well take this to the grassroots level, to the schools? Again, when I say schools, or not necessarily only schools, to non-urban places. Because I guess we are all the three festivals took place in cities. So why not as well take it to some other places of each of these 8 states of Northeast India? I guess that's how also we can. I personally do not believe that everyone should come to the city. The city can always go, and I think that's important.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Clap, clap. Oh, POD. I've been playing with POD. I've been thinking about it for 2 years or so. And this year, the last, this is the, what now? Feb. Since December, I've put out 2 books on POD. And I printed only 100 copies of one and 200 copies of the other. And the day before I came to Guwahati, my distributor and marketer of this new capitalist system, his name is Lenin, he calls me and says, I only have 3 copies left. It actually sells. So no brick and mortar walls. You print it in, the same book was printed in Chennai as well as in some other city, the one that Shobna brought. I can feel from the book, it's different.
It's different. And the quality, the bind is different, the print quality is different, and of course, the paper is different. And this is what was a little sad for me to know immediately from a publisher directly saying that these copies are made like this. So it's.
But I think for
a little cheaper.
books that sell just a few copies, POD is very good for us.
And
It's good,
Print
but
on
it's-
demand.
But it's also, I mean, for like a personal case, my father, for example, had written books on Punjab and on the period of the insurgency, the terrorism years. And it's a book that does well. And Penguin has the copyright, and I have been asking them to return the copyright. because I think it can do better, but they don't keep it in print. It's on POD. So when somebody wants it, then they will supply that, but they do not keep it live. So it's not like you can just go
I've
and
been
get
thinking
it.
of that too.
So
I've
it's
been
not a
also
good
thinking
idea.
of taking back my
Yeah.
copyright because I
And-
think I can do better.
Yeah, and also that I would like to get the rights back to be able to do it in Punjabi and Hindi and other languages. So I think that, so this is also, I'm speaking as an agent, this contract that Sanjay spoke about is the most important thing for a writer, and whether it's technology or not, the thing is that the writer, especially a first-time writer, is often not aware of all the pitfalls or all the stuff that the contract holds, and those are the things that you need to look out for. And in the absence of your not knowing, you need somebody who will be able to decipher all of that for you. Because of course, digital rights are the most important things
Most important,
today,
yeah.
especially
But
for
also
stuff which can go off
translation,
into
Sanjoy.
translation.
Your books, are they being translated into other Indian languages? Or other Northeast Indian languages?
Graphic novels, because graphic novels many publishers do.
Because I was also, Somi, the very interesting point is that a lot of comics.
Not really, but there was a very interesting thing. I had gone to Pune some years ago, and I was meeting this editor. He says, "Oh, I've done a Marathi translation of your book, and I'm launching it this evening." I said, "How can you do a Marathi translation of a book? You haven't got my permission." He said, "No, no, no, come please. Otherwise, I'll be very embarrassed. We are launching it today." Kumar Ketkar, who's now an MP, is the editor of Jan Satta at that time. Wo bhi honge. So I went to the pirated version of my book's Marathi edition. And I said exactly this. You know, this is done without permission. Huh? It was. I talked to somebody else who has read the book and said that basically he had condensed it. So
Wow.
I had no clue.
What were you about to say, Deepa? And you're going to be the last person.
Yeah,
we
that's
ask
And I
one.
didn't get
After
any money
finishing
out of it
five.
either.
Publishing comic books, which is now a new craze, because there was this Indian artist again I met the other day, and the Bob Marley family has been contacting him that they want a comic book on Marley's particular life, sketch, and these are going big way. So I was meaning to ask you if the publishing of comic books or digital novels are a total different ball game, or is it also a part like Penguin, Speaking Tiger, so on?
No, comics are different. They call them graphic books. So many of the big publishers, of course, do take on graphic books. Recently, Speaking Tiger did one which was looking at a young Indian child growing up in Tehran, and that has been doing really very well because, obvious reasons, because that is the market. Everybody's looking at Iran and Iraq and Palestine and all the rest of it. So yes, it just fed into that as well. So
And
yeah.
Persepolis was a wonderful graphic novel. Okay, guys, you know what? Let's continue afterwards, out on the deck, maybe in a restaurant somewhere, maybe next year at the listener. So we need to bring this to a close. So I want to thank you all again. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you, DCOM, and thank you, Sanjoy. And thank you all.